Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. If you happen to be new here, my name is Jess. I'm going to start this video off with a little bit of a secret. As you guys can tell from the title of today's video, I do have a bit of a library haul. A few of these I have hauled and already read and actually returned them to the library. Those were comics that I actually borrowed. But recently I really started to think about the amount of money that I have spent on books that I didn't necessarily love. I'll link up here or up here, I can never remember, my unhaul that I did recently. And I was so sad about some of those books. Some of them, as you guys saw, were entire series and I just was never gonna get around to reading them. And they were quite expensive, so I was really sad. And then I started thinking more so about unnecessary things that I was spending money on in general. Now, I don't mean supporting companies that I love. There's a subscription box that I actually recently subscribed to called Fake Crate, which I love the ladies who do that and want to support them. I'm not talking about the candles that I buy for my friends that they make. You know, G from Book Roast obviously has Burning Fiction. My friend V obviously has the little bookling as well. I love supporting my friends. I'm just talking about unnecessary stuff. So what I recently did is actually unsubscribed from all of the emails, not just book related, but just money spending wise. And I really want to start thinking about putting money aside for a house or saving money for a rainy day if something happens, you know what I mean? Like if I have car problems or if something happens to my camera, whatever it may be. So I've been spending a lot more time at the library and it's actually really freeing. If you guys saw the video I did, I think it was the discussion video that I had, I'll link it up above. When you borrow a book from the library, you're kind of on a time crunch and it gives you a good idea of how much you necessarily wanted to read a book. If you're borrowing a book from the library, you have about 30 days. Some libraries do longer, some libraries do automatic renewals, which mine does if nobody wants the book after you, but it gives you a time frame. So if you don't read it in that time frame, you didn't necessarily really want to read it. So I've been trying to borrow books from the library and then if I absolutely love them, going and purchasing them. So today I have some books that I want to read or have been wanting to read or am actually currently reading, and I'll go over those as I do. But they are all library books and I think that the library is such a great resource. I'm actually a friend of our library, which is where you donate money essentially and you get to have more involvement in the library. You get invited to library sales and such, but you're also just supporting them because my library actually does not have late fees anymore. And that's sort of just how they make their money, is with friends of the library or donations. So I am a big fan of the library. I have always been a big fan of the library, even growing up. We had a really small library when I was younger, but it was still a really good resource for me and it is what spurred my love of reading. So now as I get older, I want to keep participating and just being one of those people that goes to the library on a regular basis. And I'm fortunate enough to have our huge library about a mile away, and then I have a smaller library like right in my community, which is about 2 blocks away from my house. So I'm really excited to show you guys what I got. A few of these were recommendations from you guys that I don't necessarily know a whole lot about. I'm gonna kind of try to read the dust jacket, see what I can find out about it. But if you guys know, when it comes to your recommendations, I try to not spoil myself. I try to just experience the book and see what I think of it. So I'm going to try my best to kind of go over these, but if I don't know a whole lot about them, don't judge me. These are your recommendations or books that you guys wanted to know what I thought of, and I just wanted to sit down and kind of talk to you guys about that. So this has been a 3-minute and 50-second intro. I'm gonna stop, but essentially this is just going to be a library haul and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So the first book I have here, I actually asked not too long ago what people wanted to read for Hypernaut coming in the next months. Now there will be an announcement video going up shortly, but a lot of you guys know we are not doing Hypernaut anymore. The girls that I did it with, they have a lot going on. I have a lot going on. My heart's just not in it, and I don't know, I just didn't want to do it anymore. It was fun while it lasted, but this book is actually one that people wanted to read, and it's a book that I have been wanting to read because it is so hyped, but it also sounded really cool. But that'd be The Astonishing Color of After. This is a book that I know very little about. I know a girl's mom dies, and then there's something to do with a bird. Either she or her mother becomes a bird. But from what I've heard, it's a really heartbreaking kind of story, and their relationship is pretty heartbreaking, and the main character kind of goes through some of her own struggles as well, obviously. I'm gonna go ahead and read the inside for you guys, but it says, Lee Chen Sanders is absolutely certain about one thing. When her mother died by suicide, she turned into a bird. Lee, who is half Asian and half white, travels to Taiwan to meet her maternal grandparents for the first time. There she is determined to find her mother, the bird. In her search, she winds up chasing after ghosts, uncovering family secrets, and forging a new relationship with her grandparents. And as she grieves, she must try to reconcile the fact that on the same day she kissed her best friend and longtime secret crush Axel, her mother was taking her own life. Alternating between reality and magic, past and present, hope and despair, The Astonishing Color of After is a stunning and heartbreaking novel about finding oneself through family, history, art, bravery, and love. If you guys did not know this, I love my family a lot. It's like one of my most important aspects of my life, but I also truly love my mother, my adoptive mother, Sheila. I adore her, and I feel like this is just gonna really hurt in a way, but it is a book, as I said, that is super, super hyped and definitely one that I wanted to get around to reading. If you guys want to read this with me, let me know. I have been thinking about setting up not Goodreads groups, but maybe Instagram DM groups and stuff on books that I'm currently reading. So let me know if this is a book that you would also like to read with me. Now, as I mentioned before, I did subscribe to a box called Fake Crate. You guys are going to be seeing those unboxings on my channel recently. And this is a book that I actually bought and unhauled not too long ago, but this is a book that the crate that is coming out in December, I believe, is really centered around. This is one of the books, and I did want to read it, but I didn't want to buy it again, so I just went and borrowed it from the library, and it'd be The Star Touched Queen. This is a book that I really wanted to read when I first bought it. It was highly recommended to me, but it's one of those books that just ended up sitting on my shelf for way too long. Basically what this book actually follows is our main character, Maya, sorry, I can never remember her name, has a premonition. I don't know if she personally has it or someone has it, that she's going to get married and that marriage is basically cursed, and it is cursed with death and pain. And her father, the Raja, actually makes a marriage for her, a planned marriage for her, and against Maya's will. But it is, from what I have heard, more about her finding herself and the power within herself. I've heard amazing things about this book. I have not heard a single person say anything bad about it, because from what I've heard, Maya is just such a badass and just so realistic at the same time. If you've read this, let me know down below. Like I said, I did want to borrow it from the library because I didn't want to buy it again, but from what I've heard, it's amazing, and my worst fear is that I'm going to absolutely love this and then need to buy it so that I can have it on my shelves. Now, the next book I have is a book that I'm actually really excited to read. This is a book that they are making into, I don't know if it's going to be a Netflix movie or show or how they're going to swing this, but it is Bird Box. This is about something happens in their world. I don't know if it's chemical warfare or if it's supernatural, whatever it may be, but there are these beings or men or what, they really don't know, which is what I've heard about this book. The ending is amazing. But essentially what happens, this book takes place 5 years after that happens, but people have to walk around with their eyes closed. They are hiding, they are, really kind of confined within their own worlds because they're not able to see. If you see something, if you open your eyes and you see whatever this being or this thing is that is hunting them, they are filled with such intense violence and rage, and they end up killing people, killing themselves, whatever it may be. I don't know a whole lot about this. Once again, this is a book that was recommended to me, and because they're making it into a movie, I was really trying to avoid spoilers, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys a fun fact about me. Sandra Bullock is hands down my favorite actress on the planet. I think that she is just wonderful, and the fact that she's in this really made me want to watch it, but I did want to read the book before I saw the movie, show, whatever it's going to be, and somebody actually recommended this for Hypernaut as well, and I thought that was a really cool idea, but since we're not doing it anymore, I still wanted to read it. So if you're reading this, if you're considering reading this, because I know there's a lot of hype around it, let me know so we can kind of buddy read it together, because I do want to get around to this pretty soon. Now, the next book I have here is a book that I heard has such amazing gay rep in it, and it's done in a very realistic way. It's done in these people are just gay, they have a daughter, and they live their lives. But the reason why I really wanted to read this is because it's actually more of a horror thriller novel, and it'd be The Cabin at the End of the World. This is a book that follows a girl and her two dads, and I don't know if they're at a cabin or if they're trying to get away for the weekend or that's just where they live, but these strangers show up. One comes first and he says, I'm really sorry that you guys are gonna have to do this, but you're gonna have to be strong. This is just gonna happen. And these other people start showing up and things just turn into a shit show. I guess that they're tortured, they are tested, and it's more just about being secluded, I think, is what I'm really excited about this, and just how people react. You know what I mean? It's more about people and who we are and how we react to these kinds of situations. And I have heard wonderful things about this. I've only ever heard one negative review, and unfortunately it was by somebody whose reviews I really trust, so I'm kind of nervous about this, but I'm still really excited to read it. It just sounds really good, and I'm really excited to have really good gay rep in a book that is a thriller horror book. Because recently, spoilers here, I read Elevation by Stephen King. I'll leave the reading blog up above that I did for that. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I did not like it. Part of the reason why I didn't like it, which I didn't actually include this in my review, because it didn't dawn on me till later why it actually bugged me so much, but Stephen, there's a lesbian couple in the book, and they are, one's a vegetarian, one's a runner. He focuses on their legs a lot. It was just so cliched. Every time he described them, it was like he couldn't put aside how he felt as a man about women in general. You know what I mean? Like, he kept saying, oh, the main character Scott doesn't want to sleep with them, but he's like admiring their legs, and like, oh, it was done so tackily. So it's really, is that even a word? But anyway, so it's going to be really refreshing to read something that actually has really good gay rep in it that is a horror thriller book. Now, the next books I have here are actually part of a series. It's a comic book series. I have volumes 4 and 5 here. I just read 3 and I'm in love with this series. I am so in love with this series that I actually also borrowed and returned the Backstagers by the same author, but it would be The Woods. This is volume 4 and volume 5. I am so obsessed and so invested and so in love with these characters and so in love with the story. Essentially, what this follows is a school in, I wanted to say Wisconsin, but I think it might be like Utah or something. They're there very briefly, but something lands outside of their school and the kids go to try to look outside to see what it is, and they realize they are not on Earth anymore. They are somewhere completely different. The reason why I really like this series is they are not the first people there. There's actually society already set up, and it's how they are kind of trying to meld themselves into the society and deal with things, but there's also a lot of supernatural kind of alien things happening as well. One of my favorite main characters in this book is actually a little kind of animal. He's sort of like a bat ferret thing, but it's really cool. He's also kind of a bug. But there's a lot of different kind of like magical beings in this, and like, it's just so good. But the reason why I'm so in love with it is actually the relationships with the characters. There's a bit of gay rep in here that's done really well. There is a lot of backstory because a lot of these kids have grown up together, because most of them are like sophomore, junior, senior in high school in a small town. So it's really nice, but also the adults in this, there's a lot of vying for power even within the society that already exists. It's just done so well. I'm so in love with this. As you guys know, Shudder is my favorite comic book series of all time, and this one is rapidly like approaching how I feel about Shudder. I know Shudder's not for everyone, but I really love it, and this one is coming tops with Shudder at this point. Now, the last book I have here, I just picked up because I loved, like inhaled, could not get enough of Sawkill Girls. Sawkill Girls has just blown me away. It was just such a stunning book. It's really about girls and caring about each other and fighting for each other and what it means to really be a woman, but not in a derogatory towards men kind of way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like when people are like, oh, well, fuck all men kind of thing in books. Like, it needs to be addressed. Like, there's a lot of sexism that exists in our society, but I think there's a really good way to go about it and there's a really bad way to go about it. It has a ton of ace rep in it. It has bi rep in it. It's done so well. Like, I just loved it so much. So from the very same author, I actually ended up picking up Furyborn. This is a book that I borrowed from the library before and didn't get around to reading it. I actually requested both the physical copy and the audiobook copy at the same time because I wanted to read it so bad. I was like, whichever one comes in first, I will consume that version of it that I get. So I'm currently listening to it on audiobook. I don't know how far into it I particularly am. The Overdrive app, which is what I use to borrow books from the library in audiobook form, doesn't tell you how far in, or I haven't figured it out. If you know how to do that, let me know. So for this, I'm gonna go ahead and read the inside dust jacket because it's quite lengthy of a story, but it says, when assassins ambush her best friend, the Crown Prince, Riel Darden risks everything to save him, exposing her ability to perform all 7 kinds of elemental magic. The only people who should possess this power are a pair of prophesized queens, a queen of light and a queen of blood. To prove she is the Sun Queen, Riel must endure 7 trials to test her magic. If she fails, she will be executed, unless the trials destroy her first. 1,000 years later, the legend of Queen Riel is a mere fairy tale to bounty hunter Elena, E-L-I-A-N-A, Elena Farracora. When the Undying Empire conquered her kingdom, she embraced violence to keep her family safe. Now she believes herself untouchable until her mother vanishes. To find her, Elena joins a rebel captain on a dangerous mission and discovers that the evil at the heart of the Empire is more terrible than she ever imagined. As Riel and Elena fight in a cosmic war that spans millennia, their stories intersect, and the shocking connections between them will ultimately determine the fate of their world and each other. I have heard pretty negative things about this. I have heard a few stellar reviews, but mostly negative. But the reason why I wanted to read this, I believe this This obviously came out before Sawkill Girls, and you guys know Sawkill Girls was like one of my most anticipated books of the year, but I have heard pretty negative things about this, but I still wanted to read it for myself because I do really think Claire is an amazing writer. So I wanted to see kind of her growth and what I thought of it just personally, because I did truly love Sawkill Girls just that much. All right guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed my library haul. Like I said, if you're planning on reading any of these or you currently have these and have been wanting to read them, please schedule a read along with me, like a buddy read. I've been really enjoying buddy reads recently, like reading Sawkill Girls with Jessie from Bowties and Books. I'll leave their channel down below. Like reading it with my friends, it was just so much fun. So if you guys want to read any of these with me, please let me know down below. But I hope you guys are having a good day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Now for this, I'm going to go ahead and just read the inside dust jacket, but it says when